And they wear the most amazing fetters, you know, they tie these, and each one is a work of art. So here was this woman, brilliantly dressed, looking, I wanted to say, and, you know, totally looking depressed, and I went on watching her. As I was looking for my vegetarian soup, I went on watching her through the different aisles. And then I was just behind her at the cash counter. And I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, you know, you look so magnificent. I've been watching you for the last 15 minutes. You just take my breath away. I saw her face transform into the face of somebody 20 years young. It was as though every care got erased. And she looked at me and sort of, her whole face glowed. I can still feel it in my body. And she said, thank you. And after that, I have never missed a chance. If I'm very depressed and if I'm very tense, and if somebody says something nice, not to say it, but if somebody completely out of the blue says something nice, I know what it does to me. So why do we stop ourselves? Very often we want to help, but we stop ourselves. Very often we want to reach out, but we stop ourselves. We say, no, log kya kahenge, koi dekh lega to kya kahega. They'll say, look at her, mad woman, she's talking to some child on the street. Or they'll say, dekho na, she has no sense of self-respect at all, kisi ke bhi saath baat kar leti hai. All of these societal nonsenses, and we stop ourselves doing it. We have built a fortress of societal nonsense which stops our compassion and our goodness, which will feed into our well-being from coming out. Because we are completely bound like slaves in this paradigm of I have to get ahead. But ahead of what? What is the race? The race is what needs to be looked at. Is the race like Mukesh Ambani building one house which is 63 floors? Can you imagine the time he will waste going up and down in his elevator trying to find his bedroom? I mean, my God, is that what the race is about? Is the race about being the heiress on the Forbes list? What is the race? We have allowed a very superficial society to set our goals for us, and we do not have the courage to say, that's not the paradigm I want. I want a different paradigm, and it doesn't matter if anybody approves or not, because it's my life and I'm the one who's going to live it. My parents are not going to live it. My wife is not going to live it. My boss is not going to live it. I am going to live it, and I only have a very short life. Unless we take the time to actually do that Atma Manthan, and unless we have the courage to break this chain of slavery that we have called society and we call progress, there is no hope either for society or for ourselves. We will all be living lies instead of lives. And believe you me, I speak this from the bottom of my heart because I go through this Atma Manthan practically every day. And when I do, as Ajay said, when I do stand up against an entire government and against the police force and the justice system of my state, because I think what is happening is wrong, it's unconstitutional and goes against the secular fabric of this country, then I do it because there is no other way I can live with myself. I am aware of the dangers. I am aware that my children can be abducted. I am aware that 200 RSS people will come and bomb the institution. I am aware of this. But there is no other way I can live. And unless each of us actually takes that time to be that change, we have no right ever to complain and say, the roads don't work, the so-and-so doesn't work, the government is. We are all part of it. If we want to stop the corruption in this country, you take an oath today that you will never take a bribe and you will never give a bribe, even if your company loses a contract. Take that oath. I have taken it. I have suffered, I continue to suffer, but that is why I can stand here and I can point a finger and say, I have not ever in my life given a bribe or taken a bribe. Ever. And you know what that means in the system. What it means in the system is that everything gets delayed. You want a passport, that gets delayed. You send a letter to the government, that file doesn't turn up for 6 years. It means all of that. But if you don't say that, you have no bloody right to complain. At all. So stop sitting in chairs and criticizing and complaining and moaning. Because you can make that ripple. Start it. It's like a stone in a pond of water. Start it, the ripple spreads. I promise you it does. But have the courage to start it. And there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts, and there is never a letting down and saying, today is my off day, because there are no off days. In this fight, there are no off days. But if you think that this country matters, if you think your future matters, if you think your children's future matters, then do it, and do it now. We talk of female feticide. How many of you can actually tell me that you treat your son and daughter exactly the same? How many of you can get up and say, I have not taken a dowry myself, and I will not allow a dowry for my daughter? Do it. Otherwise, of course, there will be female feticides, because still there is a straight economic phenomenon. Do it and see what happens. Nothing happens that is negative. All those people who come, you think will come and burn your house, don't burn your house. And even if they do burn your house, have the courage to say, okay, that's a house burn, but at least I have stood my ground. I was 16 years old when my father died. My brother and I were both equally treated always. And we were both always his children. It was never a son and a daughter. When Papa died, Kartikeya, my brother, was at MIT, and he got stuck in a snowstorm in Rome, and we had to do the cremation. And it did not even occur to me not to light the funeral pyre. It did not occur to me, because both of us would have done it. He wasn't there, so I lit it. It was the first recorded time in 2000 years of Hinduism when a woman had done it. Everybody said, "Log kya kahenge?" Do you know that I received mail from at least 100 or 150 major Hindu priests saying, thank you for taking back this Vedic right that every daughter has. For me, I didn't do it because I was trying to set a precedent to it. I did it because it was the most natural thing in the world, that I was his daughter and I was the person who would do the last personal thing. So don't be afraid of what people say, because it's not what you think. It's really not what you think. I remember in the 90s when I came back from 5 years of doing the Mahabharata with Peter Brook, and I came back convinced that if I really wanted to push my activism, the best way of doing it was to use my art. I went in, somebody who was a Bharatanatyam dancer and an activist, and I came out and I said that I have to merge these two, because nothing is as convincing a communication as performances. And all my fellow artists and my colleagues are Alarmel Valli and Mallika and Leela Sampson, and we are the whole sort of same batch. And they all said to me, Mallika, you are going to commit artistic suicide. If you try and push your socialist mantras through your art, nobody is going to invite you. Today, 20 years later, I am invited more for my socialist so-and-sos, or my arts for change kind of performances than I am for Bharatanatyam. And even today I am doing close to 100 performances a year. So had I listened to them, I would have missed out on what I consider my life's work, which is reaching out to people through every means I have. Talking to you, dancing, doing a somersault here, if that's what convinces you. So learn first to listen to your hearts. Learn to find the true you. The you think are you is not you. You have probably never actually peeled away the masks. I'm a woman, I'm a society wife, I'm a Brahma Kshatriya, I'm a Gujarati, I'm a Falana, I'm a Tikna. And then who's the you? You know, I did a very interesting experiment during my PhD. I had to assess for one of my things, I had to assess how people define themselves. And my PhD is many years, nearly 30 years ago now. There was no test devised which mattered to an Indian context. All the tests were terribly American and would have never worked. So I devised a new test. And what was very interesting, and I think it's even more true just now, is that when you ask 99.9% of Indians, who are you? They will say, I am the son of so-and-so. Or they will say, I am a Gowda from so-and-so. Or they will say, I am a chartered accountant. None of which answers, who are you? And even today, this is how we define ourselves. We only define ourselves by the groups who shield us. Name, family, but who are you? Forget about others asking you, ask yourself. Who is it that's really inside me and what does that me want to do? Some of you will say, oh, she's advocating selfishness. Yes, I am advocating selfishness. Because I think that selfishness comes out of an understanding of the self, and what we lack is an understanding of the self. And if that self really wants to be a crook, then be aware of it. Then don't give me platitudes about, no, I'm a very honest person. Yourself might say, I want to be a crook, it doesn't matter who I kill on my way to the top. But then accept that. I think anything we want to do in life, including being happy, whatever that happiness is, starts from there. And it starts from first finding the seed or the kernel and then having the courage to allow it to blossom. And we will suddenly see a very different India. Because I firmly believe that each of us has the possibility and the need to be kind, to be compassionate. Whatever we might hide it. And the more people I meet, the poorer people I meet, the more desperate people I meet, this comes back to me time and time again. That there is a need to be kind and compassionate in each of us, which society has throttled. And that we have to continue throttling because of what we think is the way to success. And all I want to say at the end is, honestly, if we do it together, we really will become the country we can be proud of. Today it's not, because we are not. Thank you.